السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم فأقسم بالقلم إعلاء لشأنه ولكونه طريق العلم وتعلمه، ثم الصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على خير خلق الله محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا، وبعد. يقول الإمام ابن جزي رحمه الله المفسر الأندلسي: قصدي المؤمل في جهري وإسراري ومطلب من إله الواحد الباري، شهادة في سبيل الله خالصة تمحو الذنوب وتنجيني من النار. إن المعاصي رجس لا يطهرها إلا صوارم من أيمان الكفار. أيها الأحبة, we're continuing with our lecture series regarding the scholars or the great scholars in Islamic history. From amongst the dua that the Muslims they make, they say, رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. O Allah, make us from amongst the imams of the pious people. Tonight, Ukhani Fillah, we are going to be discussing about one of the greatest imams in Islamic history, a man who reached the level of being known as the Imam of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal al-Shaybani rahimahullah. The Imam Ali ibn al-Madini rahimahullah, one of the scholars of hadith, he says, أيد الله هذا الدين برجلين لا ثالث لهما بأبي بكر الصديق رضي الله عنه يوم الردة وبأحمد ibn Hanbal يوم المحنة. He says, Ali al-Madini, one of the great scholars of hadith, he says that Allah has saved this ummah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved this ummah on two separate occasions. The first occasion is at the time of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, when the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam passed away. The Arabs, majority of them apostated. They left the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Apart from Medina, Mecca, and a small village known as Hajar. Every Arab, apart from those three villages, or every other town, village, left the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this man, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, who is observed to be a weak person, he saved the Muslims, and he finished off not only the Murtaddeen, he finished off the Murtaddeen, he fought off the Persian Empire and conquered most of Iraq, and he fought off the Roman Empire and conquered parts of Ash-Sham, all within the space of 2 years or 2.5 years. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved the religion again with Ahmad ibn Hanbal during the trial. We shall be looking at the trial that this great Imam went through, that he was raised to become one of the Imams of the Muslims and one of the Imams of the 4 madhabs that we mentioned previously. In the previous lecture, I forgot to mention, Ikhwani Fillah, that Imam Ahmad, he says that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends someone who will revive, who will remind the Muslims about the affairs of the religion. Every 100 years, there is a person who Allah will send or will give inspiration to, not a prophet, a mujaddid, who will revive for the Muslims the affairs of the deen. Imam Ahmad, he says that the first mujaddid is Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, who passed away in the year 101 of the Hijri calendar. This scholar and this Khalifa of the Muslims is the first mujaddid according to Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and many of the Muslim scholars. And the second one, he says, is Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i that we mentioned last night. Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, his grandfather and great-grandfather was Sahaba, Shafi' ibn Sa'ib. So Imam Shafi'i, he says, خرجت من بغداد, I left the city of Baghdad, فما خلفت بها رجلا أعلم ولا أفضل ولا أتقى من أحمد بن حنبل. I left the city of Baghdad and I did not leave anyone more knowledgeable, more fearful of Allah Azza wa Jal than Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah. His Sheikh Abdul Razzaq al-San'ani says, Wallahi, I have never seen anyone more knowledgeable of the fiqh and more fearful of Allah Azza wa Jal than Ahmad bin Hanbal. Imam al-Dhahabi says, how can Abdul Razzaq say this, yet he has seen al-Thawri, Sufyan al-Thawri that we mentioned previously. How can he say this, yet he has seen Malik ibn Anas, we mentioned previously. How can he see this, and he has met Ibn Jurayj? Ikhwani fillah, our lecture tonight is about the great Imam, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal al-Shaybani rahimahullah. His full name, Ikhwani fillah, is Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal ibn Hilal ibn Asad ibn Idris al-Shaybani al-Dhuhli al-Baghdadi al-Marwazi rahimahullah. Abu Abdullah. Imam al-Dhahabi says, Imam al-Muslimeen haqqa wa Shaykh al-Islam sidqa. This Imam was born in the year 164 of the Hijri calendar. He was born in the year 164 of the Hijri calendar, and he passed away in the year 241 of the Hijri calendar. So he lived for 36 plus 41, he lived for 77 years. He lived for how many years? 77. He was born in the year 164. When Imam Shafi'i was how old? Just for benefit? Was 14 years old. It's a good way of memorizing. Also you learn Imam Bukhari was born in the year 194. Imam Muslim was born 204. So, and 204 is the year Imam Shafi'i died. It's good to connect dates in this manner. So Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal was born in the year 164. His father, Muhammad ibn Hanbal, was a soldier in the army in the city of Marw, that is currently in Iran. The father died when Imam Ahmad was only 3 years of age. Hence he was what again? An orphan. The same way like Imam Shafi'i, the same way like Imam Bukhari, and many of the greats, and more so the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are orphans. They were brought up in difficulty and they grew up to become greats. And also the important role that a mother plays in the upbringing of a child in a righteous way. So his father is dead, he's an orphan. So the person to take care of him is the mother. They only have a small rental property that they get the income from. So the mother supports the son and the children from this property. So Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he starts seeking knowledge seriously when he's at the age of 15. This is the same year, at the age of 15 is the year 179, which is the year that Imam Malik passed away and the Imam Hamad ibn Zayd. So he starts seeking knowledge. He seeks knowledge from the companion of Abu Hanifa. We mentioned that Abu Hanifa had two great companions. They were his students, but they were elevated to be known as companions. Al-Qadhi Abu Yusuf, the chief judge Abu Yusuf, and Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. So he seeks knowledge from Abu Yusuf. He learns from him in the city of Baghdad. Then he also learns from other scholars from Baghdad, and more so Hushaym ibn Bashir al-Wasiti. And he takes all the knowledge of Baghdad. Then he travels to Basra, to Kufa, to Marw, to Ray, to Hijaz, Makkah and Medina, and seeks the knowledge of the people of Makkah and Medina. And we mentioned last night, from the foremost scholars that he met in Makkah is the Imam Sufyan ibn Uyayna, that he took from hadith. But also he met the great Imam al-Shafi'i, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i in Makkah, and he took knowledge from Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i in Makkah. He used to say to Ishaq ibn Rahaway, come, I show you a man that like you have never seen of. Come, I show you this young boy from Quraysh, Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. So all these madhabs are connected. Abu Hanifa, also his student Abu Yusuf is the sheikh of Imam Ahmad. Abu Muhammad al-Hassan, the student of Abu Hanifa, is the sheikh of Imam Shafi'i. Imam Malik is the sheikh of Muhammad al-Hassan al-Shaybani. All of them are connected in madhab. There's no need for us to have a lot of differences when it comes to these madhabs. They're just ways of finding your way to, if you want to go to town right now, the CBD in Nairobi, you can go through Mombasa Road, true or false? You can go through Nairobi West near your stadium, Uhuru Highway, and you find yourself there. You can go the long route, Mbagathi way, and you still find yourself in the CBD. These are all ways for you to reach a result. In Makkah, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he's missing in class one day. So the Sheikh Sufyan bin Uyayna says, where is Ahmad? Where is that excellent, that fearful, that is excellent? His character is very good. Where is he? I don't see him. So they go look for him. He was staying in a cave in Ajiyad. Ajiyad is where most of us we stay as Kenyans when we go for Hajj, in a place called Ajiyad. So he was staying in a cave in Ajiyad, stays there and studies. So the friend goes and looks for Ahmad. Ahmad says, do not enter the cave. He says, why? He says, my clothes were stolen. I do not have any clothes to cover my aura. I only have something that will cover between me, my stomach and my knees. I've lost my clothes. So his friend says to him, okay, I'll go buy for you clothes. He says, wallahi, if you buy for me clothes, I'm not going to wear it. I am never going to take anything from anyone. That is a rule I have established in my life. I will never, ever, ever take anything from anyone. He says, then what do we do? Okay, I'll give you 3 dirham as a loan. You pay me back. He says, La yasluh. That is not acceptable to me. I'm not going to take a loan. He says, no, I'm trying to help you. What do you do? Imam Ahmad thinks for a while. He says, do you have hadiths from Sufyan, the Imam Sufyan Uyayna? Bring, I will write for you the hadiths. I will arrange for you. I will do work for you. Then from the payment that you should pay for me, go buy for me clothes with that. So he gets clothes like that. After he studies and finishes his study in Mecca, he wants to travel to Yemen to study under the great Imam Abdul Razzaq ibn Humama San'ani. So he says to Imam Shafi'i, I want to go study in Sana'a or in the city of Yemen under the great Imam Abdul Razzaq. So Imam Shafi'i speaks to some of the leaders and tells the leaders, make this young man, this great young boy who has a lot of wisdom and a lot of fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, the Qadi of Yemen. So Imam Shafi'i informs Imam Ahmad. Imam Ahmad, his face changes. He says, oh Imam, if you want me and you not to have problems, if you want to never see me again, don't do this, please. Please go to the leader and tell him to remove that job offer. I do not want anything from the leaders especially, and more so the job offer. And if you do such a thing again, then we'll never meet again. So Imam Ahmad, he has no money. He and his companion Yahya ibn Ma'in, they decide to go to Yemen. They have no money. So they look for one of the people who are the transporters who are going to Yemen and say to them, we shall be your servants. We'll clean for you, we'll wash for you, we'll cook for you. Just use our service as a form of payment for our travel to seek the hadith of Abdul Razzaq. So they travel all the way from Mecca to Yemen, to Sana'a. When they reach, Yahya ibn Ma'in, his companion, is extremely exhausted and tired. Imam Ahmad immediately, he goes to the house of the Abdul Razzaq as-San'ani. And he wants to knock at the door after Asr. A person who had a shop next to the Imam Abdul Razzaq as-San'ani says, La taf'al. Al-Imam yuhab. Don't do so. The Imam is very scary. He's going to harm you. So Imam Ahmad sits down and waits for the Imam Abdul Razzaq as-San'ani to come out. The Imam Abdul Razzaq as-San'ani shortly thereafter comes out and looks at this boy, this young man who's waiting for him, and does not pay any attention to him. Imam Ahmad comes to him, says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have some hadiths that we have received from your knowledge, from your students, wanted to confirm from you. Please assist us. Imam Ahmad says, young man, who are you in the first place? It's very harsh and severe to him. Where are you from? He says, my name is Ahmad. Ahmad, the son of who? Ahmad ibn Hanbal. You Ahmad ibn Hanbal? He says, yes, I am Ahmad ibn Hanbal. You Ahmad ibn Hanbal? Yes, I am Ahmad ibn Hanbal. The Imam Abdul Razzaq as-San'ani is overjoyed and hugs him and welcomes him very well. And he gets confused. Was I going this way or I take him back home? He doesn't know what to do. He's overjoyed by meeting this great, he was very famous. There was no news that time, but word of mouth. People's virtues will spread over the entire Islamic world. People will know you as far as China, as far as Andalus, about this great man. Whoever you are, if you have a fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah tells the angels that I love so and so, and the angels tell the love is also placed on the earth, as mentioned in the hadith of Prophet alayhi salam. So he says, talks to him, and he delays the Maghrib. It gets dark. It's almost very dark, almost Maghrib time is coming out, then they go pray Maghrib. Because the madhab of Abdul Razzaq was to delay Maghrib. Maghrib starts from the time the sun sets until the redness disappears on the sky. The Maghrib al-Shafaq al-Ahmar. So Imam as-San'ani was delaying Maghrib until almost the end time. So he prays. Thereafter he says, "Oh Imam, we'll meet tomorrow." He does not take him to his house as a guest, because that's a student. He's not yet a scholar. He cannot welcome him to his house, and still a young man also. So Imam Ahmad has nowhere to go. So he goes, he prays Isha in the mosque, and he sits there. The caretaker of the mosque asks him, "How long are you going to stay here?" He says, "I'm going to stay until Fajr. I pray Fajr here." He says, "This is not a place to sleep. Get out of the mosque." He says, "This is the house of Allah." "No, don't disturb me, please. Out." And he's thrown out of the mosque. So he sits at the gate of the mosque. The caretaker finds Ahmad ibn Hanbal sitting at the gate of the mosque. He takes him by his feet and throws him on the street. He doesn't know who this is. Throws him on the street. Next to the mosque, a baker witnesses all this that is happening and says, "My friend, come. I'm cooking, I'm preparing bread for tomorrow. You can be my companion for the night and stay here with me and take some warmth in my bakery." And this baker, Ikhwani Fillah, Imam Ahmad notices something very strange with him. Says that every time he bakes, every time he's doing any work, he says, "Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah." He makes adhkar every time. So Imam Ahmad asks him, after noticing this for hours, that this man is just making adhkar, says, "How long have you been doing adhkar in this format?" Says, "For over 20 years I've been doing adhkar in this way." Says, "What have you, or what is the reward, or what have you benefited from doing this adhkar?" He says, "Wallahi, ma da'awtu Allah azza wa jal illa istajaba li fi jami'i ad'iyati." Says, every dua that I've made to Allah azza wa jal, Allah has answered it except for one dua. Says, "What is that dua?" He says, "I prayed to Allah that I meet the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and Allah has not answered this dua." Says, "Ya salam, I am Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought me by my feet because of your dua to you." So he studied in Yemen, rahimahullah. He never takes money from anyone. The Imam Abdul Razzaq as-San'ani, the next day, he says, "You know, us in Yemen, we have agriculture. We harvest. We don't have any much money. I spoke to my wives and I found these 10 gold coins. Take it and benefit yourself." Imam Ahmad says, "Sorry, I do not take anything." Says, "Don't be shy." Says, "Wallahi, if there's anyone I have taken from, it is from you. But I do not take money from anyone. That is a condition I've kept for myself since childhood. I will not take anything from anyone. This is all for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Everything I'm doing, I hope the reward from Allah Azza wa Jal." Imam Abdul Razzaq thinks that this young man is shy of him. So he sends one of his servants with 3 silver coins, something that will only last for a few days, to Imam Ahmad, and says, "Take this and benefit with it." Imam Ahmad rejects it completely. He does not take a single cent. Khanifillah, this Imam, he continued studying for many years. He used to be well known that every time he'll find with an ink pen, and he's always writing. They say, "Ya Imam, ila mata taktub? Ila mata tatlub al-ilm?" Up to how far you, or how long in your life are you still be going to seek knowledge? He says his famous lines, "Min al-mahbara ila al-maqbara." From the time that I write until the day I die, I'll still be compiling and writing knowledge. This Imam was very excellent when it comes to knowledge. So after a while, he goes back to the city of Baghdad. There he meets and he teaches, and he was with Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. Imam Shafi'i says to him, "If you get even a single hadith that is authentic on your side and you have confirmed, please tell us about it so that we can rule upon it. We can follow the hadith." This shows that even Imam Shafi'i respected this Imam greatly, that he was seeking knowledge from Imam Ahmad, who was younger than him, 14 years younger than him, the hadith knowledge. Imam Shafi'i lives and he dies in Egypt in the year 204 of the Hijri calendar. In the year 204 is the exact year that Imam Ahmad turned the age of 40. Barakallahu fikum. The age where people or the prophets were sent by Allah Azza wa Jal. And there in Ikhwani Fillah, he starts teaching in Baghdad and he starts giving fatwa. The Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He continues teaching. Many of the scholars of Islam learned under him. Imam Bukhari from his students. Imam Muslim from his students. Imam Abu Dawood, Imam al-Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and all the Kutub Sitta, the 6 books of hadith from his students. He teaches the year 218 of the Hijri calendar. There at that time, there was a very big fitna, a useless philosophical fitna that was brought by one of the Mu'tazili scholars. It's called Ahmad ibn Abi Duwad. He managed to convince the Khalifa al-Ma'mun that the Quran is not the word of Allah. Like we Muslims believe, the Quran is the word of Allah. But this man was convincing the Khalifa, the leader of the Muslims, that the Quran is not the word of Allah, it is a creation. And you have to force all the Muslim scholars upon this. So many of the scholars were forced. Many of them accepted to say this evil statement. Some were killed, some were imprisoned, like Ahmad ibn Nasr al-Khuza'i, who was killed in one of the most brutal manners. Al-Buwaiti, from the students of Imam Shafi'i, killed. Many others were killed and imprisoned and tortured. And many had to accept. Like Ali al-Madini used to say, Al-Quran, Wat-Tawrah, Wal-Injil, Wal-Zabur, these 4 are created. It's not meaning that the 4 books are created, but these 4 fingers are created. It's using deception to be free from the trial. Apart from 2 scholars at the time, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and a very young scholar called Muhammad ibn Nuh. The Khalifa al-Ma'mun said, bring to me Ahmad ibn Hanbal, I will kill him by myself. I will get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal by slaughtering him by myself. So Imam Ahmad is kept in chains. And this other young scholar, Muhammad ibn Nuh, is kept in chains. They are brought from the city of Baghdad. They cross the Tigris. Muhammad ibn Nuh starts breathing his last and says, oh Imam, I have no name or fame, but you are an Imam that the Muslims are looking to. Be wary. Do not change your stance because you fear a human being or their torture. All the Muslims are looking up to you. Do not become weak at this particular time. Says, he gave me a lot of thabat and steadfastness, and he died. And I prayed for him janazah. Salatul janazah, only I prayed for him the Salatul janazah. This young scholar, Muhammad ibn Nuh. Says Imam Ahmad, Wallah, I've never seen a young man who is more fearful of Allah, who is more pious than this young man. Says, we continue traveling. One of the scholars from the province of Anbar in Iraq, he rides until he reaches my prison carriage and says, oh Imam, if you're killed upon the truth, you shall die as shaheed. Be firm. Do not leave the position. Do not surrender this issue. And he got a lot of words of conviction from people. He made his dua. He said, oh Allah, please, I do not want to see the Khalifa al-Ma'mun. I do not want to see him, please. Immediately he made that dua. The Khalifa al-Ma'mun passed away. And the new Khalifa was his brother al-Mu'tasim. So he was brought in chains to al-Mu'tasim. And he was told to debate with Ahmad ibn Duwad, the scholar who was propagating this evil claim that the Quran is not the word of Allah, it is a creation. Imam Ahmad says to him, you are torturing people. Give me one statement from the book of Allah or from the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that supports your claim. Says, brings a lot of philosophical arguments, but I cannot bring a single verse from the book of Allah, not a single hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says this claim of the Quran is a creation. So he refused completely. So the Khalifa gave Imam Ahmad a lot of time to change his position, but he found him not changing his position. Everyone else has accepted apart from you. Why are you refusing? He's sent to prison. In prison he meets a thief. The thief holds him by the shirt. He says, Hal ta'arifuni? Do you know me? He says, I do not know you. He says, Ana Abul Haytham. I am Abul Haytham. It has been recorded in the prison records of the Amir al-Mu'mineen that I have been whipped 18,000 times. All of that is in obedience to shaitan. You are doing this in obedience to Ar-Rahman. Be firm. I was firm when I was beaten up in the obedience of shaitan. Be firm when you're beaten up and whipped because of the obedience of Ar-Rahman. He says, he gave me strength. So I asked him, you've been beaten all these times. Give me some tips. How do I do? Especially, I do not want to be uncovered. I don't want my aura to be exposed, my private parts to be exposed when I faint after the beating. He says, don't worry. The only painful whip is the first one. After you hit the first one, the rest you will not even feel anything, because the first one will reach your brain. You don't even know what is going on. So the first whip, just be patient to that. The rest is just a formality. So the Imam is brought to the Khalifa al-Mu'tasim, and two people are executed before him to cause fear in him. Then he's told, change your position, say that, and I will remove the chains from you and give you a lot of wealth, and you go back to the people honored and in glory. Imam Ahmad refuses completely, and he's beaten up, ikhwani fillah, and he bleeds, and he's very unwell, and he's imprisoned, ikhwani fillah, from the year 218 for about 28 months to the year 220 or 221. The Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal is in prison. We said before, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran in Surah Al-Ankabut, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alif Lam Mim, أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون ولقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فلا يعلمن الله الذين صدقوا ولا يعلمن الكاذبين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a trial. As long as you have said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a trial. Indeed, is it true what you're saying, or you're just making a false claim? And the more iman and the more strong La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is established in your heart, the more the trial, the heavier the trial, the difficulty the trial. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, Ashaddu nasi bala'a al-anbiya. The person who's tried the most are the prophets. ثُمَّ الْأَمْثَلْ فَالْأَمْثَلْ. Then the ones who are similar and similar. Read for benefit the Surah Ankabut. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives trial to a man with his parents. Look at the story of Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, then Nabi Ibrahim thereafter, then Nabi Lut alayhi salam, then Musa with Fir'aun wa Qarun wa Haman, all that stories. Then you understand how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates you with your trials. The more you're tried, and the more you're patient, and the more you're steadfast, Allah raises your level. And that's why the people of Gaza, they have overtaken us. Look at the sabr and the steadfastness they have. So the Imam Ahmad is thrown in prison for 2.5 years. He says, Wallahi, the person who beat me up, the one who imprisoned me, the one who put me in chains, all of them I have forgiven them for the sake of Allah. All of them I forgive them, apart from two people. I will not forgive the Khalifa al-Mu'tasim. I will not forgive that evil scholar, Ahmad ibn Abi Duwad. In that same period, there's a Muslim lady. Their town is captured or attacked by the Romans. And this Muslim lady is slapped by one of the Romans. And she says, Wa Mu'tasima, Wa Mu'tasima, whoa, where is Mu'tasima? Where is Mu'tasima? Someone like this dares to slap me, a woman who was honor and glory in Islam, and this kafir dares to slap me. When these words reached the Khalifa al-Mu'tasim, he had a glass or a cup of water, and he was shaking very violently. Says, Labbaik ya ukhta, Labbaik ya ukhta. And he took an army all the way from Baghdad, and he captured the city of Amuriya that was never captured by the Muslims before. And the Muslims were overjoyed by this great victory that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon the Muslims under this Khalifa al-Mu'tasim. When Imam Ahmad heard this news, he made sujood and said, Oh Allah, bear witness, I have forgiven al-Mu'tasim. Al-Mu'tasim died in the year 225 or 226 of the Hijr calendar. And the new Khalifa was his son, Al-Wathiq Billah. Al-Wathiq was even more severe than his father. He says, I do not want to see Ahmad. I do not want Ahmad to stay in the same place. I do not want to see him completely. So Imam Ahmad was kept under house arrest. He only can go to the mosque and come back to the house. He cannot talk to anyone. He cannot teach anyone. He cannot be seen by any of the rulers. He's a person who is supposed to be kept away from society. During this period, we mentioned previously, a young man, a young person who wants to be a scholar, comes all the way from Andalus, from Spain and Portugal. He's known as the Imam Baqi ibn Makhlad al-Andalusi rahimahullah. He comes walking all the way. He crosses from Spain into Morocco, all these lands, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, crosses into Sinai, enters until he reaches Baghdad. When he's about to reach Baghdad, he's told that Imam Ahmad is not allowed to teach anything. He says, subhanallah, the only reason I've come here is for Imam Ahmad. So he does not find any choice. He goes to the gatherings of hadith and he finds a scholar known as Yahya ibn Ma'in. The people ask him, what do you say about so and so? He says, thiqa, da'if, munkar hadith, saduq, take his hadith, reject his hadith. So he sees him and asks him many questions. The people say to him, enough, you've asked so many questions. He says, okay, I have one more question. Tell me about Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He says, amithli yus'alu an Ahmad ibn Hanbal. The like of me is asked about Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Imam al-Muslimin, wa min akhyarihim. Ahmad ibn Hanbal is the Imam of the Muslims and the best of them. So this man, he goes to the house of Ahmad ibn Hanbal and knocks at the door and says, oh Imam, I am so and so, I've come from a very far land to seek your hadith and I've heard what has happened to you, but please do not make my travel lost. Says, where are you from? Says, I'm from as far away as Africa. Africa was Tunisia. Ifriqiya at the time was Tunisia. Says, even further, I'm actually from Andalus. I have to cross the Mediterranean to enter Africa, then I come. He says, you have come from very far. But you have heard what has happened. I'm under house arrest. I cannot teach anyone. He says, oh Imam, please find in your way to teach me. So he says to him, every day, do not, number one, do not go to any class so that you're not known. Number two, come every day and pretend to be a beggar asking for some assistance, and I will give you 2, 3 hadiths or 5 hadiths. That will be enough for you. So this man every day, Baqi ibn Makhlad al-Andalus, he comes to the Imam, knocks the door, he says, Al-Ajr, Al-Ajr, Rahimakumullah. The Imam comes, brings him to his his living room, like he wants to give him some food, and he gives him 3 hadiths, 5 hadiths, and the Imam continued like this until the new Khalifa came in the year 232 of the Hijra calendar, Al-Mutawakkil ala Allah, and he removed the fitna of saying that the Quran is a creation of Allah. His son, Abdullah ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he says that my father used to pray every single day, 300 rak'ah sunnah. Every day he prays how many voluntary? 300. But after he was whipped and he became sick, he reduced it by half to 150 rak'ah. This is based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. One of his companions, the Prophet ﷺ said to him, ask me anything that you want. He was serving the Prophet ﷺ was very impressed with him. So he says to him, ask me what you want. Look at the intelligence of this Sahabi. He says, As'aluka murafaqataka fil Jannah. I ask to be a companion in paradise. I ask you to be in the highest level in Jannah. He says, أو غير ذلك. Maybe perhaps ask for something else. No, who are that? That's what I want. I ask to be a companion in Jannah. Who will remember such a situation if you're told by Prophet Muhammad, ask what you want? But this Sahabi knew what he wanted. He says, أسألك مرافقتك في الجنة. I want to be a companion in the highest level of Jannah. He says, فَاعِنِّي عَلَى نَفْسِكَ بِكَثْرَةِ السُّجُودِ. Help yourself so that you can gain this level by doing a lot of sujood. The scholars say doing a lot of sujood is doing a lot of voluntary prayers during the day and the night, as long as it's not a time where salah is prohibited. So the Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he compiled his famous book Al-Musnad that has 30,000 hadiths. The Imam Abu Zur'a Al-Razi rahimahullah, one of the greatest memorizers of hadith, he says to Abdullah, the son of Ahmad, your father has memorized 1,000 hadith. Your father has memorized 1,000 hadith. How much is 1,000 hadith? Now? 1 million. 1 million hadiths and athar. 1 million. No other Muslims, no one in history has memorized that much than Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Yahya ibn Ma'in says, I think it's almost that or 750,000. From this 750,000, he kept about 40,000 hadiths in this book known as Musnad. Imam Ahmad, one of the 9 books of hadith, amongst them is the Musnad of Imam Ahmad. Like the hadith of Abu Huraira, he arranges all the hadith of Abu Huraira in one place. The hadith of Aisha in one place. The hadith of Ibn Abbas in one place. And so on and so forth. That's the Musnad of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal al-Shaybani. The year 241, the month of Rabiul Awwal, the 12th of Rabiul Awwal, the year 241 of the Hijri calendar, the Imam, after about 8 days or so of sickness, he passes away in the city of Baghdad. And he used to say to the people of bid'ah, to the people of innovation, to the people of heresy, بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ الْجَنَائِزِ, between us and you is our funeral. That will prove which amongst us are upon the truth. Ikhwani fillah, the scholars, they say, there is no funeral that was seen from the time of Adam alayhi salam until the time of Imam Ahmad greater than the funeral of Imam Ahmad. Every person in Baghdad, almost 1 million inhabitants of Baghdad, all came for his janazah, including 60,000 or so of the women, including 20,000 Christians and Jews. They attended the funeral of this great Imam of Ahlul Sunnah, the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal al-Shaybani, one of the 4 Imams born in the year 164 of the Hijri calendar. He passed away in the year 241 of the Hijri calendar. He was given this status of the Imam of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, especially for him fighting the statement regarding the Quran. For us Muslims, all of us, we have left that philosophical argument, that philosophical nonsense. All of us, we say the Quran is the word of Allah, not a creation. It is the word of Allah. So this Imam, he lived a great life. He died honorable. Until today we remember him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrect us and raise us in the level in Jannah with this great Imam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وهو البر الكريم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.